Hello everyone, welcome back to another lightsaber video. Today I'm going to be showing off this commission I just finished, this creepy Uncle V2. So without further ado, let's check out the hilt, go over the install, and show it off. This was a fun lightsaber project. I actually worked on quite a few creepy Uncle V1s back in the beginning of me making lightsabers for people, so it was pretty interesting seeing the differences between this V2 version for the install and the hilt. So I'll be going over a few of the differences real quick over the hilt, and then we'll get right into the install. So the first thing I noticed was, I think the black is anodized a bit differently than the previous one. The grips seem to be a little bit wider. This comes apart a little bit differently. I really don't know all of the differences, but the major ones are the buttons. They can be pressed both at the same time, way easier than the first version. Some of the ones that I got for the first version, the Creepy Uncle V1, I couldn't even press both of them at the same time. For whatever reason, it was constructed in a way where it didn't allow it to do that very easily. Now the next thing would be how the blade retention is set. So the blade retention screw, as you can see, isn't visible anywhere on the emitter. He has a cool hidden retention system underneath this ring here. So you unscrew this section right under the emitter lip. And as you can see, there is the retention screw hole. So yeah, pretty neat. This lightsaber is definitely one of my favorite ones I ever made in the past and in the present. It just works so well, and I think they made it even better this time. Now for the install, they did really well with it as well. So, I guess we'll just take it apart. It comes apart in two different ways. You can unscrew the pommel section. You can take it off completely, and then you've got the battery compartment. So the battery and speaker compartment, then you can unscrew the main grip section, and you've got the main chassis. And then you've got a separate compartment inside the control box where it has another chassis piece holding the buttons and the pixels that are being used for these. Now, the differences are there's a guide track. So when you put this in, it only goes in one way. So when you spin this, it just spins around the chassis, which is pretty nice. The kill switch is now on the main part of the chassis instead of being on the battery compartment. And then this is being held in with a longer set screw, or a longer screw that holds this control box in place, and it also holds the chassis in place. I believe it should be this one that's longer. So with that being said, this chassis is a little bit wobbly because of how it's designed. It's designed with a little hole for the screw to go into, so it doesn't spin at all, it doesn't go up and down, it gets held in place and doesn't get worn down very well at all. So I think this is going to last a very long time. But it does have a little bit of a wobble to it, just because of the nature of how it is being retained and held in place. Other than that, it uses a thin neck chassis PCB, so it's the tiny little circle instead of a bigger one, which isn't an issue for any. There's really no purpose to it other than it being smaller, probably a little cheaper, and it doesn't use a normal NeoPixel connector, so I can't set up chassis detection with this, which is a little bit of a downside, but since this is just a basic Proffie install, that is no issue whatsoever. It just means it can't have that cool chassis detect capability, or it doesn't have any lights on it. So, with that being said, I think it's time to show off how it works. So you can put it on in a couple different ways. You can just put that in place, screw it in, and if it doesn't align properly, I would just unscrew it a little bit, set this one on, because what I noticed is if you screw this in a bit too tight, it pushes this up ever so slightly and makes it more difficult to screw this in so it's not flush. So maybe screw this top part in first in order to get the alignment correct on this. Or you could just unscrew the pommel or twist this section because it's loose. You could just twist it until it aligns how you want it. But in any case, we'll just tighten it a little bit here, turn it on.
Lesson 1.
And then you've got the blinky lights that I'll show you in a little bit. Then you just tighten that down. You can tighten that until you align it how you want. You can put in the clamp card. If you want me to glue this in, I'm going to talk to the customer right now. If you want me to glue this in at all, just tell me which side you want. There's one with a thinner and more rails, and then there's the side that have thicker and fewer rails. So whichever one you prefer, just let me know and I can glue it down for you. Or I could just not glue it down at all, and we'll just leave it loose. It doesn't really come out very easily, but it might be pretty easy to lose if you were to swing it around or accidentally bump it or something. But in any case, let's take a look at these blinky lights. I have it set up to be the cave sequence, so it's got a few more blinks on the green and then the red, and then I do have a few different animations for when the lightsaber turns on, so let's turn it on. The top part of this button is the activation, bottom one is the auxiliary. You can also switch it in the config file if you wish. And I probably have it at around 50% of its maximum volume right now, because it is really, really loud. I cannot stress enough how loud this lightsaber is. So when you have the lightsaber on, the green stays on, and then everything flashes and does effects with the blaster blocks, the clashes, the blade lockup, and lightning block. So here's a closer look. And then it does have gesture controls, just the twist on. And if you want to adjust the volume, you can just quickly hold down the activation and tap auxiliary.
Volume menu.
And then you just turn it.
Maximum volume.
As you can hear, that's very loud, so I will not be doing that. And then you just accept it
Exiting volume menu.
by pressing one of the buttons. And we're back. You can also check the battery level.
Battery level 96%.
By quickly holding the auxiliary and tapping the activation. There's quite a few more controls that I do not know actually, so I do have links down in the description which will help you out with all of that, along with all the customization information you'll need to customize this lightsaber if you wish. And then I did set up all of the fonts that you wanted on here, the 4 different Return of the Jedi and The Last Jedi fonts, I suppose, but Luke lightsaber fonts, I've got 4 of them. So, I also have all of the other standard fonts I have on here. And I think that's pretty much it. I'll show you this lightsaber with the blade in it before closing it off. I think the last thing I will show you afterwards is how to access the SD card and the micro USB port. So we just take the blade plug out, put this in. Well, I can't tighten it quite yet because I gotta tighten the blade once it's in. So whenever I put in a blade, I like keeping the lightsaber flat if I can, and then just putting it in the top, pressing down, and then tightening it while pressing down. That way I know that everything is nice and secure. Sorry, I'm gonna be doing this off camera, it's just a little bit easier. There we go. So let's tighten this now. There we go. Now I'll be going through all the different fonts that I have set up here.
Master Skywalker.
Are you a Jedi? I am.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Blue.
Now these are all the standard fonts that I have set up.
Red. Green. Purple.
And then you can see a little cool off effect. With my standard config file setup, I like setting up different colors, different blade
Yellow.
styles, and different effects just to show off a few of the capabilities of the Proffie.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
There's weapon. Take your weapon. Break me down with all of your hatred.
And then once again, we've got another emitter cool-off. There we go. Some of the cool-offs are a bit faster than others, but they all pretty much have the same theme of being a hotter temperature and then cooler temperature. Now we're getting into some of the more fun fonts. This one's a fire blade, so you'll be able to see it better in person.
Smooth Jedi. Smooth fuzz.
Then the rainbow.
Smooth gray.
Teensy.
This one's kind of like a lava lamp. And then here is the battery level indicator blade style. So at the top, it shows that the battery is super well charged, and it'll change color and go down the blade the less battery it has.
Go away!
And then we're back to the beginning. So there you go, we've got all those fonts and blade styles set up there. Now let me take the blade out, put the blade plug back in, and then we can go over how to access the SD card and micro USB, because that's going to be how you set up all the fonts and whatever else. All right, putting the blade off to the side here. There we go. Now let's open this up. So to access the SD card, I recommend taking some tweezers and then just grabbing the sides of the SD card here, pinching in, and then just wiggling it out. And then you'll be able to get it out pretty easily. Then you can just pour it out, and there you go. To put it back in, what I like to do is just put it in flat, like how it's going to go. Hold it there for a little bit, turn it upside down, letting it go so that it hits the top of the soundboard, because the goal of this is to make it so it falls right into its holder, because you don't want it to fall underneath the soundboard because you'll lose it and just push it in. Or you can always just slide the soundboard out. I believe you lift it up a little bit and then you can slide it out. And then if you ever do lose the SD card, you can access it down there. This can come all the way out. I wouldn't recommend doing that too often, because you may end up putting some more unnecessary tension on the wires. But that's how you access it. Or you can always just access it via the micro USB port. You'll have to upload the config and set it up as mass storage when you upload it, because I believe there's serial USB, web USB or something like that, and then mass storage. But you'll need a mass storage option if you want it to be able to be accessed, the SD card to be able to be accessed when you plug in your micro USB port. In any case, you'll need a 90-degree angle micro USB port like this. You can get one from the Saber Armory or Saber Bay, or there should be some on Amazon as well. And then you just plug it in here and then push it in and then plug it into the computer. I believe with the Proffie 3.9 you can also charge your battery that way as well. I haven't tried it. It's a bit scary to me because I've learned Proffie 2.2 you can fry it, but I know they changed that with the 3.9. I just haven't tried it out yet. In any case, this is the lightsaber. This is the Creepy Uncle V2, and I will show you a few of the extra additions here. You've got another triangle ring. This one's a little bit more rounded. Then you've got, I never figured out what these white screws are for. I think that's some kind of control box retention method to keep this in place, but I never figure out how it fits, because the only way it can be screwed in is upside down, and then it doesn't allow anything to be fitting properly, so I have no clue how that all works, but you still have it. The shorter screw that was replaced with the longer screw to hold in the chassis, and then you've got, I think, slightly more diffused arrows if you ever want to remove them. These are held in with a couple dabs of Loctite, so you can always try and take them out again. And then this is a replacement bottom that does not have sound venting. And all of that is going to be in the box. In any case, hope you liked the look at this lightsaber. Thank you all for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed checking out this creepy Uncle V2. There's actually a couple things I forgot to mention going over the lightsaber. The first, do not unscrew the neck. It can be a little bit risky on the wires on the inside. If you ever unscrew the neck or the emitter, could cause some pressure in there or break the wires, so just don't unscrew those. You only ever need to unscrew this top section to have access to the set screw. The other thing has to do with these accent lights. In the V1, it was actually just normal LEDs. There was a green LED and a red LED. But for this V2, it actually made some space in the chassis for pixels. So these are using nanopixels. They can do any color and any sort of pattern that you want it to do. So, thought that was really cool and figured I should mention it now. Anyways, once again, thanks for watching, and I hope you look forward to all my future projects.